Jackson Dart is more than likely not going to start week 1. If the Giants have the toughest schedule in the league according to strength of schedule, and the strength of schedule just goes based off of the
win percentage of your opponents.
the win totals of last year, and they add them all up. And the NFC East is really tough. And obviously, with me being a Commanders fan, I've known that for years, and now finally we got our guy Jaden Daniels, who I chased last year. And a lot of you that are listening to this and have been in the shop know that Jaden Daniels, once he hits the shelves, he's out. So I think that's going to be how it is with Jackson Dart here. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Overtime Cards podcast. I'm Tate.
I'm Dawson, and today we're going to be talking about the NFL draft, all the prospects, and we'll get into the NFL schedule release.
And you kind of are going to be able to tell who, are going to be really good instant impact players for their teams, like these three. Maybe besides Shador, because he slid to the fifth round.
Yeah, he's got some work to do for sure.
But so we're kind of just going to go by position groups and kind of go, obviously just in general with the NFL, if they're going to start right away, and in correlation to that, their card value. So I'll start with the quarterbacks. Obviously, the first pick in the draft, Titans went Cam Ward. You like that pick? You like Cam Ward?
I mean, I think it was a super weak quarterback draft class, but I definitely think he was the best quarterback available, for sure.
I agree. He goes and plays Denver week 1. So that's going to be a game that he might have to get used to a little bit with the elevation. So
it'll be a good test for him too, because Denver has a pretty good defense.
Very good defense. So his card value is probably going to be the best out of the gate, because obviously he's the best quarterback in that draft class. It was among all the experts that made mock drafts: ESPN, Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, Daniel Jeremiah, all those people. If you follow along, Cam Ward was the consensus best player at the quarterback position, and he's going to go to Tennessee, where they drafted, I can't remember Alec Ayamoro from Stanford, that wide receiver. So he gets a pass catcher, and then they also drafted unrestricted free agent Xavier Restrepo from Miami as running mate in Miami. So right out of the gate, his card value is going to be up. That's going to probably be the chase of quarterbacks for this draft class. Will it be the chase of the draft? I would probably say it's not going to be.
No, not this year, because just with the lack of first-round quarterbacks, that's all that I think would bring this quarterback value down.
So getting to Cam Ward, like I said, he's going to be probably the biggest draft class quarterback nationwide. As Utah, I think it's going to be Jackson Dart.
Oh, 100%.
Giants trade back into the first round. I think it was pick 23, if I'm not mistaken. And they go ahead and get the former Corner Canyon and Davis quarterback, Jackson Dart. The Giants have a lot of money and pretty much their jobs on line with Brian Daboll, Joe Shane, not having the best record as far as being a part of the Giants organization. And so they really take a chance on Jackson Dart. They trade up, something maybe a lot of the Giants fans wanted them to do last year, trading up for Drake May or Michael Penix or J.J. McCarthy last year. But in the state of Utah, Jackson Dart is going to be probably the most valuable card in that quarterback class.
You got to think all his teammates from Corner Canyon are going to be all over that.
Yeah,
Davis.
He has a brother here, so.
Yeah, everyone.
He actually is going into a great situation. You actually picked up a card of his today in the shop before we filmed this, and Malik Neighbors, one of the best young rookie receivers in the league, going into his second year. They got guys like Wan'Dale Robinson. That's going to be a really good piece for them. And then they re-signed Darius Slayton. They got Russell Wilson in that quarterback room, also Jameis Winston too. So Jackson Dart is more than likely not going to start week 1. If the Giants have the toughest schedule in the league according to strength of schedule, and the strength of schedule just goes based off of the
win percentage of your opponents.
the win totals of last year, and they add them all up. And the NFC East is really tough. And obviously, with me being a Commanders fan, I've known that for years, and now finally we got our guy Jaden Daniels, who I chased last year. And a lot of you that are listening to this and have been in the shop know that Jaden Daniels, once he hits the shelves, he's out. So I think that's going to be how it is with Jackson Dart here. And Dawson brings up a good point with his buddies too. That's kind of an avenue I didn't really think about.
Yeah, they'll all probably come here looking for his cards too. That'll make Jackson Dart have even more motion in Utah, I guess.
Exactly.
So
those are going to be definitely the two highest players, I would say. Shador, as he's pictured here, in the Bowman.
I kind of want to talk about the Browns taking Dylan Gabriel over Shador. What do we think about that? I did not think that was going to happen.
It's just great. Mel Kiper had Shador very high first-round pick, and he falls to the 5th round. It's just crazy. That's why everybody loves the NFL, though, because you never know what's going to happen in the draft. You can never predict it. I would have never thought Shador would have got a prank call of that magnitude that would blow up. The prank call got more coverage than him actually going to the Browns.
I cannot believe that happened. that out of everything, that made me feel so bad for Shador.
The prank calls are just awful. Why do you do that?
I don't know.
Why? Why do you do that? Yeah, Shador Sanders is going to be, hopefully a good quarterback in the league. Right now, the Browns have a really sticky situation with their quarterbacks, with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett,
A lot of talent.
Dylan Gabriel, and then Shador Sanders. Will Shador beat them out? I definitely think he could. I would say he probably should.
I think he should. Like, I would really hate to see the Browns move on with Kenny Pickett after, what they've already been through. Like a Browns fan, I would want to just throw in a rookie quarterback, maybe even give that team some hope, or the quarterback room some hope.
Because with the Deshaun Watson saga, I guess they still have Deshaun Watson under contract, but he's not even in the picture. So maybe they go towards the fans and want Shador to start. Maybe they throw in a guy like Dylan Gabriel, but can you imagine the headlines with Dylan Gabriel starting? So I don't know. I think Shador Sanders' card is going to be good.
It'll be a good battle between those two for sure.
It's an investment, right? This would be a really investment card in Shador, and it could pay off because he does have the last name Sanders, and
It could be a Jordan Love situation with Shador having to wait a couple years to get his opportunity and then to ball out. You never know.
Yeah, and a guy taken ahead of him was Tyler Shough, quarterback out of Louisville. With Derek Carr getting recently announcing he is retiring from the NFL. Don't really know what to expect from Tyler Shough. He had one good year in college pretty much, and that elevated him to be a second-round pick. And the Saints are just in quarterback hell, really.
Over Shador Sanders?
So I can't really say what Tyler Shough's card value is going to be right off the bat. He's going to definitely be in contention to start in New Orleans with Spencer Rattler there, Jake Haener from Fresno State.
I think he'll be either right behind Dylan Gabriel or right in front. It'll go Dart here, Ward, Shador, either Dylan Gabriel or Tyler Shough. Those can all interchangeable, but yeah, I mean, even with the Saints, like I hope they give him a shot just because he's a rookie and give that quarterback room some hope too. Like Spencer Rattler was not cutting it last year. Jake Haener, he got one start and I don't even remember what happened, but it wasn't good.
It's probably Arch Manning time for the Saints. That's probably what you're looking for. Like, we have stuff on the shelf with Arch Manning in it. Come by and grab it, because that's more than likely going to be the Saints quarterback unless they start doing a lottery in the NFL, like the NBA does.
Please no. Utah Jazz got absolutely cooked in the NBA draft lottery. All right, so now we're going to move into the wide receiver draft prospect. So right here we got the main one, Travis Hunter out of Colorado. The Jacksonville Jaguars moved up in the draft. Moved up to 2 to take him. He also plays corner. It really surprised me when they moved up. I knew he was going to be the second overall pick. I think a lot of people expected it, but I did not think that the Jaguars were going to move up super that quick to get him.
And they gave a lot to get him, but not as much as you would for a quarterback like we just discussed. Travis Hunter, will he play both ways? I think that could be the most valuable rookie card in a while, and Jaden Daniels is sky up there, but you've never been able to see a rookie come in and play corner and receiver and
it's never happened.
And be dynamic at both positions. So that'll actually be interesting to see how Topps and Panini put his positions on there. Will they put receiver, corner? Will they, it's just, because corners usually don't have a marking card, really. You don't really collect corners unless you're a guy like Deion Sanders, maybe Pat Surtain, because we're close to Denver. It's going to be really interesting.
Hunter did come out and say something about he threatened to would never play football again if he couldn't play both sides of the ball. So I wonder how committed to that statement he is, and if he is, then I think he'll end up playing both sides of the ball because I'm not sure the Jacksonville Jaguars want him to retire. So
right, and I guess we can just go in order of the draft as receivers go. Ted McMillan, wide receiver, Arizona. I didn't think the Panthers would take a receiver, but they did need one. They drafted Xavier. Yeah, for sure. They drafted Xavier Legette last year out of South Carolina, so they have 2 really young receivers, but they also have Adam Thielen in that receiver room. So that's going to be a really good addition for them. Ted McMillan's, depending on, the hype that surrounds him, I think he could be the most collectible receiver-only prospect in this draft, maybe outside of Matthew Gold, and that goes to Green Bay because the Green Bay fan base is a lot bigger. But Ted McMillan, kind of, some of them viewed him as the most NFL-ready receiver. Maybe they viewed Emeka Egbuka the most NFL-ready receiver, but he's a big guy, really big target for Bryce Young.
Yeah, and
what do you expect to see out of Ted McMillan's?
I think he'll definitely probably be the most valuable receiver on the card market for sure. With how Bryce Young closed out last year, I wouldn't be shocked to see him go over 1,000 yards in his rookie season if he were to stay healthy, of course. Bryce Young was playing very good football at the end of the year, and if he can do that all throughout 2025, then I think that Tictora will have a huge year. But if Bryce Young struggles, I think Tictora will also struggle. So his card kind of depends on quarterback play in Carolina, I think.
Yeah, and a lot of that does for just receivers in general, but I like he alluded to, I agree with him. Bryce Young really came on in the last year. They almost beat the Eagles.
Almost.
And they fell a little bit short, but that would have been a huge win for Bryce Young, and his card market's still growing. So if you are a Panthers fan or you're a Bama fan, go collect him. If you're a Mater Dei fan, go collect him, collect Ted McMillan. That'll be a good investment for you guys.
I'd be very excited to collect Bryce Young after what he showed the last 6 weeks of last year.
Next guy up that got drafted in the receiver in the draft class was Emeka Egbuka. That was the most surprising pick, I think, in the first round. The Chris Godwin injury must be a lot more severe than we think in the media and kind of just in the fans in general. Emeka Egbuka is going to go in there. He's led in a receiver room by Mike Evans, Chris Godwin when he's healthy. They drafted Jalen McMillan last year out of Washington. He's a really good receiver. And then add Emeka Egbuka in there, and he could be the most pro-ready receiver. A lot of experts think he's going to have an 80-catch, 1,000-yard rookie season. That's going to be a guy that's highly collectible as well, especially when you have a quarterback like Baker Mayfield, and then a really good running game too with Bucky Irving.
Yeah, I just think, piggybacking off what Tate said, I think that with Mike Evans getting to like the later years of his career and Emeka Egbuka coming in, and also with Chris Godwin, that injury, I think the Buccaneers are planning for the future, and that's why they went wide receiver.
For sure.
Now for my most anticipated player, and go Pack Go. First time since I've been born, we took a wide receiver in the first round.
That's crazy. And
Matthew
the guy
Golden.
that announced it did a good
Mark
job
Murphy,
too.
Mark Murphy, dog.
What a guy.
We draft Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas. He ran a 4.29 in the 40-yard dash. He's so quick, and obviously everyone has a highlight reel, but when I watched his highlight tape, I got so super excited, not only for me, but for my quarterback, Jordan Love, because he's getting the first-round wide receiver treatment. That's Aaron Rodgers never got that.
Yeah. Jordan Love gets another pass catcher. Christian Watson with the injuries is obviously, his time in Green Bay is looking a little bit over. Romeo Doubs is kind of in question too, so they get a receiver in Matthew Golden. That receiver room is still super young. I do like Matthew Golden. I didn't think he'd get to the Packers, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, but I'm glad. Yeah. Glad my boy got to see a receiver drafted.
Packers fans, we finally have an offensive player besides Jordan Love to be excited about. I mean, Jordan Morgan, he was our first round pick last year, and he didn't turn out like how we thought he was going to at all. So
I'll talk about one more receiver. Maybe Dawson can get into his sleeper for receivers, but with me being a Utah State guy, Jalen Royals going to the Chiefs, can you ask to be in a better situation as a rookie?
Absolutely
I don't
not.
think so.
Catching passes from Patrick
They
Mahomes.
kind of need that receiver away from Rashee Rice and in between Xavier Worthy. And I think Jalen Royals is going to fill that spot really well. I think his card market will soar. I had him ranked as a top 5 wide receiver in this year's draft class among each wide receiver. And I think, that I'm gonna get a jersey. I'm gonna get a Jalen Royals Chiefs jersey. So I'm high on this guy. I think you might be able to pull him a lot because it feels like those later round receivers are very likely to pull. And so Jalen Royals is going to be a guy I think you can get on the cheap, and that return on investment that you make is going to be insane. One, because we live in Utah. If I'm going to be honest, I think he could have the best stats as a rookie receiver. Yeah,
me and Tate talked about it a ton before the draft. The Packers had met with him tons of times before the draft, and we went a different route, wide receiver in the 3rd round, and I really thought it was going to be Royals, but we didn't. I agree. I think Royals is going to love catching passes from Mahomes, and I think Mahomes is going to love throwing balls to him. He's going to be a really nice red zone target with his taller frame, good hands. I think he's going to be a dog. All right, now we're going to talk about tight ends for just a second. The Bears screw up again and take the 2nd best tight end in the draft in Colson Loveland. The Bears are going to do what the Bears do, and they're going to draft wrong.
Tyler Warren, I thought he was the best tight end in the draft out of Penn State. I don't know if they make the wrong decision. I know you guys don't like the Bears, but I definitely have Tyler Warren ranked ahead of him. I think his card market will be pretty even unless he, has a Brock Bowers-esque season.
Warren, Loveland.
So, not too much on the tight end group. Mason Graham is going to be another guy that you can maybe collect too. So that'll be, really a really good one to collect as well. Then we'll talk about running backs. Ashton Genty, as he's pictured here, was my favorite player in this year's draft. And I love the Mountain West, so it's kind of a little bit of bias, but I think he's the best running back prospect we've seen since Saquon, if I'm going to be honest. And the way that tacklers just bounce off him, like Zeke too, he has very good balance. He has really good speed as well to break away from, secondary defenders. His card market's going to be great. He's going into a good situation where the Raiders have a decent to good O-line led by former Corny Canyon player Jackson Powers Johnson. Pete Carroll's coming in. He's had Marshawn Lynch. He likes that bell cow quarterback or or running back. And they have Geno Smith they traded for, so they're going to have a solid rushing attack because they don't have the best receivers. I think Ashton Genty, and in fantasy too, he's going to be top 5 fantasy running back. I think Ashton Genty's probably going to go for 1,300 yards and double-digit touchdowns.
And I think you'll be surprised, out of all like the first-round draft picks, I think he will be an easier one to find. And I think he's going to be a very, very collectible. Like, I feel like he's going to have some really nice cards.
Yeah, just one more thing on Ashton Genty. I think he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and that's going to boost his card value. Obviously, that boosted Jaden Daniels. And Bo Nix obviously didn't win it, but he had an Offensive Rookie of the Year caliber season. So Ashton Genty, he could be the most collectible player in this year's draft.
And I think my sneaky running back, that's obviously not Ashton Genty, is I think Cam Scatterbo from Arizona State is going to surprise a bunch of people. And I think his rookie card is going to start lower. And I think once he kind of gets a starting role, I think he's going to take off. Like, you saw how he played against Texas and the college football playoff. I just think
feels like he just played a lot better in the bigger moments, and that's kind of what the NFL is all about when it comes to cards too.
And I think he's going to be really good for the Giants, and I agree. I think he'll be the second running back in this draft for sure.
Other running backs to note: there is R.J. Harvey for the Broncos out of UCF. There is a Bashal Tutin. He was really good out of Virginia Tech. You can watch for him. And then Omarion Hampton from the Chargers, drafted in the first round. Jim Harbaugh loves his running backs.
North Carolina, right?
North Carolina running back. That's going to be a highly collectible card as well. Not as much as Ashton Genty, but he's a really good card. So this running back room in draft class is a very deep one. So look out for all those names.
Now moving to the defense side of the ball, we have the 3rd overall pick, Abdul Carter, going to the New York Giants. I think this is a great addition for their defense with another Penn State edge rusher. We know how they go. Micah Parsons. I think he's going to be a dog. I mean, Tate can say more, but I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, Abdul Carter is going to be the best defensive player aside from Travis Hunter in this year's draft. He's going to be the favorite, and he already is the favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't think anyone's going to touch it. Maybe Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan, going to the Browns, but not too many huge names outside of Abdul Carter that are going to make a splash for their defensive side of the ball cards. But Abdul Carter is going to be the one that obviously Giants fans are going to collect, but I think nationwide that'll be the most highly collectible defensive player, unless it's a corner like Will Johnson. He's a really good player.
He slid to the second round.
Got a steal for the Cardinals, but other than that name, I can't really think of anyone else that would be a highly collectible name that's well known, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just know there's a couple undrafted guys that I like that didn't even get drafted. I think are going to be pretty good. I think Kobe Bryant from Kansas didn't get drafted. I think he's going to be a stud corner. Also went to the Falcons, so I think he's going to be really good and a very easily collectible person for sure.
Other edge rushers to note: Donovan Ezra-Raku went to the Cowboys. He could be a big name that flourishes onto the scene. Siobhan Revel, corner to the Cowboys. James Pierce Jr. Falcons traded back up to get him. Michael Williams, Jalen Walker, two Georgia boys, and then Jahad Campbell go to the Eagles. He'll be a good piece for that defense. But it's a really deep class, more of a starter draft than a start draft. Well, thank you guys so much for watching and listening to the podcast about the draft. The NFL is going to be right around the corner. I wish it was already August or September actually, but there's going to be plenty of product that we have here that covers this draft class. So thank you guys so much for listening, and make sure you guys subscribe and hit that like button on the YouTube page. And thank you guys for listening.
Yep. Tune into the next one. Peace.